What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Tosh. Today is Monday, April 17th, day 3 of the 2017 NBA playoffs. The time I'm recording this video, none of the games today have started, and today I'm doing my day 2 recap. I'm thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing like a recap every single day of prior playoff games, just because that's the biggest thing right now. Regular season, I could, make videos about all types of stuff going on during the season, off topic, whatever. But right now, all eyes are on the NBA playoffs. It's a big deal. It's the best time of the year, especially for a basketball fan. Only probably for a basketball fan. For me, it is, because I love this time of year. I love all the hype. I love watching all these games, being able to watch games that, I might not watch during the regular season. They have so much more importance. So, day 2 was game 1 in the playoffs for half of the teams in the NBA playoffs. We're going to go and start with the first game. We had the Atlanta Hawks, 5-seed Hawks in Washington. This was a series that I predicted to be very tight. I look at both these teams, and neither of these teams are consistently great or consistently, underachieving. And I think that, this makes for a great playoff matchup because these two teams did see each other a few years ago. The series where John Wall got injured, Atlanta would go on to face the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals and get absolutely smoked in 4 games. But the Hawks did defeat the Wizards en route to that. And I thought, look, you look at these two teams, I think they're pretty evenly matched, but I did think that Washington would come out on top. And in this game 1, it went back and forth a lot, but in the end, John Wall, who I believe is the best point guard in the Eastern Conference, he had his way. He absolutely killed it in this game. He put up 32 points, 14 assists, and just willed his team to victory in this one. I love to see that from John Wall. A lot of players that I've seen so far, they're the playoff versions of themselves. In the first game, it was, there's playoff PG. And then later on that day, we had playoff Kyle Lowry. And today it was like playoff John Wall, because I do remember that year when the Wizards were in that second round and lost to the Hawks. John Wall was absolutely incredible in the round 1 sweep on Toronto. And he's bringing it. I mean, already right out the gate, 32 and 14 is absolutely phenomenal. They took down the Hawks, and it was a pretty tight game. I don't expect this to be a blowout series at all. I don't think that, the Wizards take game 1, that, they're just going to take the rest or take 3 out of 4 of the next games. I didn't think that the Hawks played amazing. And they were staying in the game the whole time. They can do that. And the Hawks are a clutch team. We've seen what they can do in comebacks in the regular season. You got Paul Millsap, who is probably the second best player in this series, I would say. Yeah, for sure. This guy can control a game in every way possible, okay? He really needs to assert himself more than he did in game 1. And I was looking at that Markieff Morris, Paul Millsap matchup throughout. Markieff Morris had his way against a better player, Millsap. He took it to him. Playoff Markieff Morris, is that going to be a thing? Probably not, but if he keeps doing what he's doing, because what he did in this game was he really did take it to Millsap. He was being physical, but he's also burning him from outside. He was able to use that so he can get inside more. And all around, especially on that defensive end, I believe he had 4 blocks. He was playing very well in this one. And I thought that, Washington got a big win in this one. A big advantage in the 4-5 series. It's not that much of an upset if Atlanta wins games in this series. But this series is still as up in the air as it was before it started. I don't think this win changes anything. I still think that Atlanta gets 3 games off of Washington in this one, and we'll see Washington take a 7th. Second game of the day, we had the 1-8 matchup in the Western Conference. The Blazers visiting the Golden State Warriors. Blazers sneaking into the playoffs. They won a huge run to end the season and took that 8th spot from Denver, who had it for a while before that. And it looked like for a while the Blazers came ready to play despite missing Yusuf Nurkic, who I'll get to in a minute because he was desperately needed throughout this game. But in the end, I knew Portland couldn't keep this up the whole game because they were making crazy shots. They were hitting from anywhere. Lillard and McCollum were absolutely scorching in the first half. But in that fourth quarter, the game was tied after the second quarter, after the third quarter, but the Warriors really asserted themselves in that fourth quarter. The killer instinct kicked in, and there was nothing really Portland could do. How about Draymond Green, though, in this game? I mean, he was so good. He was already my Defensive Player of the Year pick. But, this kind of summarizes why. And it's just because of what he can do, both on the perimeter, when it comes to rim protecting, the huge blocks he got, but also the fact that when I see Green, even on a guy like Lillard, I feel like Green has the advantage in that matchup. And it's Lillard. I mean, Lillard is a professional scorer, but when I see Green on Damian Lillard, I feel like, well, I don't see Damian Lillard blowing by Draymond Green. I just don't. I don't think that's gonna happen. When I see that matchup take place, when Green's guarding a perimeter player, I feel like he's bigger, stronger. He's quick enough to keep up with those guys. And it's so hard for me to imagine, someone getting by Draymond Green with ease or shooting over him and knocking down. It's hard for guards to go up against that guy. He's gonna be a night there. We're gonna see Green switching onto those guys all series long, because that's what they did with Westbrook, and he contained Westbrook. He played better on Westbrook than anybody this year. I mean, he really did play that lockdown defense on Russell Westbrook throughout that season series. It just shows what he can do defensively. I believe he had 19, 12, 9, 5, and 3. That's wild. After the game, Steve Kerr said, "Who else can do that?" And honestly, I don't know if anybody can. I don't know if anybody can do all that. That is a phenomenal stat line. I can think of guys that get close to that, but no one's ever done that in playoff history. That's fact. No one's ever put up those numbers in a playoff game in NBA history. And Draymond Green, his first game of the year, he's got to be feeling good about himself. I'm trying to stress more and more how important he is to this team. I think he's more important to the team than probably everybody. If you miss one player more than anybody else, you'd rather play without Kevin Durant and with the rest of the guys and without Draymond Green and with the rest of the guys. I totally believe that. Just because he does everything. And, those guys will score you some points. They'll play extremely well. Draymond, no one can be Draymond Green on defense. No one can facilitate a game like Draymond Green. No one can do all the things he does. And they miss it when he's not on the court. Now, on to the next game. It was another 1-8 matchup. We had the Bulls in in Boston. The big storyline in this game was tragic passing of Isaiah Thomas's sister. And he was clearly affected by this, okay? And not really in a bad way, because he was extremely emotional before the game. It was clear that he wasn't feeling great when he was on the court. But he really took it to the Chicago Bulls in this one. I gotta hand it to him. 33 points for him. The reason they lost this game is definitely not because of him, but probably more because of Jimmy Butler and Bobby Portis. I mean, those guys really showed up. Jimmy Butler with 23 in the second half, 15 in the fourth quarter. He was incredible. He was just great down the stretch of this game. Chicago, when you look at the seeds, this might seem like a major upset, but the Bulls and the Celtics, this is one of the closest 1-8 matchups of all time. Well, these teams do match up about evenly, honestly. And I did say Boston in 7. I'm not gonna change that because I did expect this. I did expect Chicago to take one out of the 2 in Boston to start the series. Didn't think it would be game 1, but we got it. So that's very nice. In this game, though, it left me thinking that Boston needs to do something about the rebound situation. It's been there all year long, and going up against a team like Chicago, who clearly you could tell by this game 1, they're going to hustle, they're going to get boards. They're doing that. So Boston, they need a solution for that. They're not going to survive very long if they're just so vulnerable like this. Even if they do win this series, it's not going to help them throughout the playoffs. They're not going to be this good. They're not going to be able to perform to their highest potential if they can't board, because they're going to get destroyed on that. Everyone's going to pick their weakness out. That's basically what I was meaning to say. A secondary headline for this game is the fact that a lot of people were saying that the fact that Jimmy Butler was taking off in this game, that's a sign that they're trying to get the Celtics, should have traded for him, or it's really bringing back all the headlines about, the Celtics should go and get Butler. They got to make the move now because this team isn't even good enough and he's this good. And, I don't know how I feel about all that. I do think that if I'm the Celtics, I would try to trade for him, but I don't want the Bulls to trade him. even though it might not make sense for them not to, considering they traded away Gibson and McDermott because it looks like they're gonna rebuild. I don't know. But yeah, that's not important right now. I didn't think it was. I just saw, Jimmy Butler taking this game over in the fourth quarter, playing huge, and the Celtics just not getting enough help around Isaiah Thomas. They really couldn't score enough when he was out of this game. They didn't get enough guys to step up, and that led to their inevitable doom. I shouldn't say inevitable. The Bulls did a great job in this one. Celtics almost got back in this one and took it, but Bulls 8 seed take it, upsetting the Boston Celtics in game 1. Yes, I still think Celtics are going to take this in 7, but we'll see. It's going to be a very fun one to watch. Now, the last game of the day is probably the most highly anticipated game the entire first 2 days of the playoffs. That was the Oklahoma City Thunder in Houston playing the Rockets, and for obvious reasons. We wanted to see Westbrook versus Harden, the 2 MVP candidates, the 2 guys having the best seasons in the NBA this season. And just for everybody talking about, oh, well, Harden did this, now he's definitely going to get the MVP. Guys, and anybody saying a comment related to that, guys, the MVP voting's over, okay? This is completely different. If Harden completely outplays Westbrook in this series, it's not going to change the fact that Westbrook should get MVP, at least in my opinion. I think Westbrook should be the MVP. I'm not going to let this game change that because it's not the regular season. If the NBA had extended the MVP award to the playoffs, then yes, we'd be taking it into account and taking it into account a lot because playoff games mean more than regular season games, but that award doesn't count for the playoffs. It's for the regular season. We're going to treat it as such. Now, regardless of that, James Harden and Patrick Beverley, that backcourt was so good. I mean, they played one of their best games probably ever in terms of, their team chemistry, playing off each other. And Patrick Beverley was very impressive with his hustle, defense, and he was spreading the floor. I like that he's added the three-point shot. He's I have a lot of respect for Patrick Beverley. I think most people should too. He's such a fighter. See him full court press Russell Westbrook. He took that screen. Are you kidding me? Now that was crazy. The guy just battles, okay? He's another one of those guys that's just so vital to have on the court playing for your team that you love. If I was a Rockets fan, this guy would probably be my favorite player on the team, him and Harden, because he is such an impact player. He brings the heat, okay, the intensity, energy, aggressiveness, which is awesome. The hustle, love that. And James Harden was I'm sorry. I couldn't stop. I was going crazy watching this game, watching James Harden work on the offensive end. What he did to Enes Kanter. Man, that guy's a family. This dude just had no bashfulness in this game. He was going at the Thunder all game long. And people like to point at James Harden's past years of examples of why, he's not a playoff player. He folds. He doesn't show up. Well, this game 1 was a statement to all those people, I thought, because James Harden had a pretty good playoff year in the year when he was second in MVP and in my eyes should have won MVP. And this year, he's playing like that again. He's playing better. He's had his best season of his NBA career, and this first playoff game, it's reminiscent of that. It makes total sense that he's coming out here and he's going crazy in this first game. I think he wants to make a statement about that MVP award too, even though, like I said, it doesn't count. He wants to be known as the better player. He wants this. He wants this W. He thinks it's going to mean a lot in terms of his dominance over the Oklahoma City Thunder and Russell Westbrook. But most importantly, he's trying to make a statement about his greatness, about his career, his legend. I think that, a win in this series, he gets to the second round, plays the Spurs. I don't see them winning that series, but I think it'll be a great one. I think that, he's going to be remembered a lot better than if he loses this series, this season all for nothing. And what did I say? I think I said Houston in 6. I can see Houston in 5 or 6 right now. I think OKC gets one game at least at home. But yeah, James Harden was fantastic in this game. Clint Capella was also great. Russell Westbrook, didn't really talk about him a lot. He wasn't very efficient. He wasn't very good. Didn't look like an MVP in that game. Andre Robertson, for some reason, was lighting it up in this one. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. The worst three-point shooter in the NBA. He made his first 4 threes or something like that. It didn't make any sense. It was just, that's weird. I didn't understand that, but this game was actually close for a while. But in the third quarter and fourth quarter, The Rockets just blew the shit open. I mean, they absolutely exploded. Nothing Thunder could do. Nothing they could do, and they couldn't score or defend. Steven Adams switching out on James Harden. That was just a nightmare. And the Rockets got a big win. Looking forward to today's action. We have Cavs versus Indiana in the 2-7 for Game 2, and we got Spurs, Grizzlies in San Antonio for Game 2 as well. Gonna do a recap on that probably tomorrow. Yeah, if you like this video if you enjoyed, comment. What do you think about the playoffs? What's your reflection so far? Who's the best? Who's been the best so far? Who the best players been in the playoffs so far after one game? I'd probably say Draymond Green, honestly, or John Wall, something like, I don't know. It's hard to pick. There have been a lot of great performances, great performances. James Harden, Jimmy Butler. You can go on. List goes on. Yeah, that's gonna do it. I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.